We decided to go around Clemson's campus and ask its students what they thought about its history and diversity. Did you know Thomas Green Clemson gave the South Carolina governor his plantation that began as an all-white military school and did not integrate until 1963?
I did not know that Thomas Green Clemson gave the South Carolina governor his plantation. However, I did know Clemson started out as an all-white military school and that it didn't integrate until the 60s.
I knew the school didn't integrate till 1963, but I didn't know that first part.
Yes, I did know.
So the only reason why I knew Thomas Green Clemson gave the South Carolina governor's plantation was because of Business 1010 class, where we learned about sort of the history of Clemson.
I knew that Thomas Green Clemson gave the South Carolina governor his plantation, but I didn't know that it began as a white military school, and I didn't know the year that it integrated.
No, I did not know that.
In what ways do you think Clemson could improve the knowledge of the students about the history of the university, or do you think that they are doing a good enough job?
I think this project's actually really helping a lot of students learn how Clemson was founded, so I think they're doing a good job.
I think that they could add a lecture or class to each freshman curriculum.
I think that Business 1010 helped with the history of Clemson because we had to do a project at the end of the semester that talked about the history of Clemson. However, people in other majors did not have that same experience. So I think making it equal with all majors, that there's some history of Clemson taught within each, would help with the knowledge of Clemson history.
I think Clemson definitely does not do a good enough job when it comes to giving the students knowledge about the history of the university. I think they could do this by installing it in the freshman class CU 1000 and talking about Clemson's history in depth and allowing the students to learn about such important history.
There could probably be a course that we would all take, or maybe in the tours there's more history.
Do you think the history of Clemson University affects the diversity of the campus?
I do think that the history of Clemson affects the diversity of the campus because I think that it affects the people of color's decision when making their decision of what college to go to.
I definitely think that the history of Clemson University affects the diversity on campus. I know that a lot of African Americans might feel uncomfortable knowing that the university was built on a plantation and that their ancestors or even people who share their culture went through such troubles on the land that we go to class to now.
I'm sure it does. I don't really think a lot about it being here, but for some students, I'm sure it does.
I think it does, because I don't think we're a very diverse campus. So yeah.
After talking to our fellow students, we realized that most people agree that Clemson does not do enough to help students learn about the history of the campus. We found it interesting that most students agreed with our idea to implement a history aspect to CU 1000.